Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of First and Last Podcast. My name is Josh, and this week I have a Joe with me.
Hey, man.
And also a Jimmy with me.
What is it that is up?
Hello, my digital DiGiorno pal.
I
Spaghetti Jim, everybody.
Ate DiGiorno, I'm pretty sure, tonight. That's some kind of pizza. It was great.
That's right.
You're pretty sure?
Did. Yeah, you forgot what you ate today?
No, I know it was pizza. Like, I'm 99% it was pizza.
Did you? So you didn't make it?
Is it 1% that it wasn't pizza?
And I made it.
So you took a pizza out of a box and put it in an oven and made it and then ate it.
Yeah.
And somehow 1% of you doesn't even know if it was pizza. And the rest of you is 50-50 on what kind it was.
Okay, well, like, if this is just the Matrix, like, was that pizza?
Or was it just code? So you're saying there's a 1% chance it was just code?
Yeah.
Nah, man, if you eat a pizza in the Matrix, you
Tasted
eat a pizza.
a little bit like code.
If you can die in the Matrix and die in real life, you can eat a pizza in the Matrix and therefore eat a pizza in real life.
Yeah, it's real enough for me, man.
Huh. Right.
That steak in that Matrix scene is like the best looking steak ever.
Just plug me back in.
Yeah.
Joe, for just reference and to make sure that everyone's not going insane, do you know what you ate today?
For lunch, I had an egg salad wrap. And for dinner, I made a little stir fry with a piece of salmon.
Ooh.
And you don't eat breakfast.
And I don't eat breakfast. Well, I had a piece of string cheese in the morning. Does that count as breakfast?
Yes.
I mean, it is. Yeah, that's the breakfast you had.
Also, I don't know if I'm about to get canceled, but I don't like string the string cheese. I just eat it like a stick of cheese.
Yeah,
I mean,
can't. You're off the pod.
You're a fucking maniac, but
Yeah, I mean, who's got time to fuck around? I want to eat this cheese.
I'm not into that.
That you do that.
I don't like it. It's called string cheese for a reason.
Why do you even buy it the string style then? There's all kinds of other cheese you could just be eating by the chunk.
Just by the slice or something.
Yeah,
I guess there is a difference of having like a little stick of mozzarella versus like a slice of mozzarella.
Yeah.
Still different.
Joe just likes peeling the single packaged cheese away and then throwing that filth into the landfill.
Yeah.
That's the part he likes.
Actually, now that I think about it, I peel it like down two sides, so I'm kind of eating it like a banana. Like the wrapper's still around it.
Yeah, wouldn't want to have your hand touch cheese.
Yeah, maybe that's the thing. Maybe that's why I don't string it. I don't want to touch the cheese with my hands.
It is a weird thing. Should we just do a whole separate pod at this point?
Cheese pod?
Yeah, let's do a cheese pod and let's talk about why does string cheese do that? No other cheese
Like, why does
that.
it string?
Why does string cheese string?
Oh, chemicals, I'm sure.
Yeah, it must be something specific to mozzarella that it like tears like that. Because I don't think you could do that with like a stick of cheddar
Right.
or Gouda.
There's no way. Like a hard, nutty cheese.
Yeah.
Man,
like-
I want some cheese.
Just a stick of like blue cheese, and you're just like, this sucks.
Just crumbling apart. All
right, so I Googled why does string cheese string?
Uh-huh.
And the stringiness of string cheese is naturally created by the cheese being stretched and pulled by an auger while simultaneously being heated to 140 degrees.
Oh, well, there you go. So it's made to string.
Yeah. At that temperature, the milk proteins apparently begin to move and change, aligning horizontally. This alignment allows the milk proteins to become stretchy.
Listen to that. Just all of this math and science and art that goes into making it stringy, and I just bite it.
Yeah. That's a lot. A lot goes into that for you to just waste someone's time, Joe. Also, the person that knows how to do that and like I feel like they are capable of making meth. For sure.
Yeah,
right?
they cook on the side for sure.
Well,
they have a
capable of.
Yeah, but I think they are equipped with the chemistry level knowledge for making meth.
Yeah, I think I could get like a 95% purity.
Challenge.
Challenge.
Meth challenge.
Meth challenge. Joe.
Tweeted us with your meth recipe, and we'll try to make it.
This cheese pod took a huge turn.
Joe's gonna make some meth and string cheese for next week. So,
oh man,
like I was pretty sure we were gonna get a good like Kemp's sponsorship there for a second, and now throw meth in there. No,
all right,
dairy's gonna bite.
All right, now that the meth section of the podcast is done, Joe, how does the rest of this podcast work?
The rest of this, we'll be discussing a TV show we know nothing about, because we're gonna watch only the first and only the last episode of a TV show that we pick. One show a week, just the first, just the last, nothing in between. And we judge it based on what we've seen, and then decide if we want to watch it fully like a normal human, or if we just want to carry on living your life. Most of the time, we just carry on.
Almost always.
We can get it done. And Jimmy, it was your show this week.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And you're threatening us because it's a long one.
It is.
So I'm curious on what it is.
When you think back to this pod and its history,
Frasier.
Oh man, I've been watching Cheers, and Frasier just entered. Oh, it's so good. Anyway, no, not Frasier. What would you say was the longest, maybe most disappointing show we've watched?
I mean, I would say I think the
watched.
longest one is different than the most disappointing, because I feel like the longest one would have been like MASH.
Yeah, I had to add a caveat because I think MASH
like
is
Dr.
technically
Quinn was
longer.
pretty long too, wasn't it?
Oh, was it?
I feel like
Maybe.
the first episode was like a legit movie, like it was 2 hours.
Yeah, that sounds right. I wasn't there. I also wasn't there for this one, which was Stargate.
Oh, the SG-1? Isn't that the one we watched?
The SG-1.
Are we going back through the gate?
And we're going to go back through the gate and see what's going on in Atlantis.
Oh, crap. This is it's got to be underwater, right? Is that how that works?
Man, I hope so. I hope something is underwater.
You just walk through the Stargate and end up underwater? That's not
Just drown.
Not ideal, that's for
float
sure.
to the top of the ocean.
The first like Starmonauts that walked through like immediately died. And then they figured out you need to have a suit.
Inexplicably just floated to a shore somewhere. Like, what the hell?
So for all of you Stargate heads who have somehow made it 9 minutes into this podcast and are like, okay, finally, we were not happy with Stargate SG-1. There's a little past recap. That the last episode in SG-1 was just awful.
It's got a pretty rough ending. But you know, and that's hard because there's a lot of like Stargate truthers out there. This is a big cult show, right?
I mean, I believe so. It's one of those like sci-fi. Is it on sci-fi?
Yeah. Atlantis is totally on sci-fi, I believe. But didn't SG-1 start on like HBO and then move to sci-fi?
I don't know if it was HBO.
No, yeah, I think it was HBO.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
pretty
crazy.
Sure.
Actually Showtime and then Sci-Fi.
Yeah,
okay,
that makes more sense.
One of those. But yeah, so 5 seasons of Atlantis, 100 episodes. Got that sweet syndication.
Yeah, they just made it. Looks like it was July 2004 through January 2009.
Yeah.
I assume that none of the there's no like, are there returning characters?
I don't know. There might be. I assume because it's a spin-off, so I'm assuming it's carrying on some plot that I wouldn't know about because
they must have stepped into
They
must have stepped into Atlantis at some point within SG-1 and then spun this off because SG-1 ended in 2007, so there's a period where both of them are running.
Sweet.
Okay, so what it says, really, this Wikipedia says Atlantis is following the events of Stargate SG-1's 7th season finale, Lost City, and the 8th season premiere, New Order.
Okay. And how many seasons was SG-1?
At least 8.
Fair enough.
So
I think it was like 10. Yeah, 10 seasons of SG-1.
Right on.
Yep, correct. So this is a little spin-off. So I would assume then we're going to see like a clip from Stargate SG-1, potentially, of them like, remember when they discovered Atlantis? Yeah. And then I guess I would assume maybe they have like a base on Atlantis now in the pilot episode.
So they're
like,
already...
Yeah, because I don't know what they did in season 7 and 8 in SG-1, but I assume that means that the humans became, they put their flag underwater in the... Is anyone else thinking like Little Mermaid a lot right now? Is it just me?
I mean,
Poseidon.
Are they going to be mermen in this?
Huh. I hope so. But the mermen just turn out to actually just be aliens.
Yeah, they're just aliens. Well, because also, do you think Atlantis is on Earth, or it's another planet, right?
Oh, yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess another planet.
Because I don't think they ever traveled into a Stargate and then just went to somewhere else on Earth.
You're like, is this Cleveland?
No, it's Atlantis.
That's the next spin-off is going to be Stargate Cleveland.
Starring Drew Carey.
I was going the same direction.
Drew Carey's like the main villain. Yeah, but I picture, I guess, that Atlantis is not the lost city of Atlantis, but it's like an entire water planet. And so that most of this is like taking place underwater, but I don't think we see them like swimming around much. I think there's just like cities built underwater that are completely like you're mostly just passing through buildings and skyways, but they're underwater. Kind of like Minneapolis in the winter, but it's just water outside instead of snow.
Instead of a snow globe.
Yeah.
Actually, that would still be a snow globe.
I would even say it potentially is like, when they show like Mars colonies and it's the big glass dome on Mars, I could see it being like that, but underwater as well. So then they could see all the fishies and stuff.
Interesting.
I bet we see one really big like
fish
sea monster. I mean, if a fish is big enough, it becomes a sea monster.
I guess so.
Octopus monster?
Well, don't take away my predictions already, Jimmy.
Yeah, it kind of creeps me out.
So I don't think when the show starts proper, besides maybe a flashback to the SG-1, I don't think any of the characters are in this show for real.
No. Yeah,
I
wouldn't recognize them anyway.
Yeah.
Well, they have a Piccolo. I think was that Teok?
Yeah, I hope
Wow.
he crossed over like the way oh man, my brain in Star Trek, the Klingon crossed over into.
You mean like Worf? You talking about
Worf? Because Worf joined
Starfleet.
Didn't he join like DS9 for a while?
Oh yeah. Worf went to DS9.
Yeah. So I'm assuming Piccolo jumps.
Ooh.
Okay, yeah, because I guess you gotta have like a seed to start up the spin-off. Like,
Yeah.
Well, this isn't the seed the season premiere and finale from SG-1.
Well, I mean, like,
hey,
you
remember this?
You gotta take an actor. You gotta take a character, because otherwise, you gotta have something for people to latch onto. Be like, oh yeah, fucking Dwight's in that show. I'll watch it.
Yeah. Shrewd Farms.
Yeah.
I would have watched that.
Maybe would have watched it.
Yeah, I'm also a maybe on Shroot Farms.
We'll never know.
I mean, so this show started July 16th, 2004, and Lost City. Oh wow! So season 7 ended in March 19th, 2004, and season 8 of SG1 started on July 9th. So this is like a direct. This show started 7 days after season 8 premiered of Stargate SG1. So like they were right on top of it. Yeah. I didn't know whether or not there was a couple years. So these two shows overlapped each other for 2 years as well. They were like competing.
Yeah, they were running at the same time.
Joe said that earlier.
Do you think
rewind the tape?
No, but I wanted to see like when in terms of like when it like they showed
like
Atlantis
they could have been like
on
alternating or something, like one in the summer, one in the fall, something like that.
Right, but they were literally
sure.
it started a week after they debuted season 8. So
yeah, you think they even like ran them the same night? So it's like Thursday night, you get to watch like 2 hours of Stargate, like action.
2 hours of gating,
just dipping through gates.
That's
also,
so
what's
much
like
gate.
like if you're the studio head at Sci-Fi, what's like the pitch for adding another Stargate show other than like? I get that you have one show that's successful and you'll just like, hey, let's just multiply that, but like. Is this one like the grittier Stargate? Is it the more like adult Stargate or sillier Stargate?
I mean,
Wet?
if you got a big enough
Stargate?
cult like following.
All right, check this out. Stargate, but it's wet.
But wet. Now they're wet.
But like, okay, so Star Trek. I keep going back to Star Trek. They had 3 shows going on at once because they had Voyager going on too. So there's got to be money to be made on those nerds.
I mean, it's basically just like it's going to be Stargate, but except probably going through space a bunch because eventually they were obviously like flying around in a spaceship in SG1.
Right.
But they're just going to be like, we're in a water planet, or maybe I don't know. Maybe they get stuck there or something. So now they're not like really gating. They just got there via a Stargate. So like.
Yeah.
You know, there's other things they can do.
I also bet, Joe, that like maybe if they think like the initial show is sort of maybe starting to end its run, that they're like, okay, let's start a new thing to try to extend this, you know?
Like that does make sense. Like the old cast is getting a little too expensive, or they're just kind of over that story and like, let's start up something new and just like kind of coast off to that.
Yeah.
And it probably costs money. Obviously, it costs more money to make 2 shows because you assume it's kind of like maybe it's 2 different teams, but kind of the same production people, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
The company or whatever is producing this. But you start it then so you can get the tail end of the people that are like, well, I mean, maybe I'm not into SG1 as much right now, but like I still want some Stargate in my life. So they move over to Atlantis. And then as SG1 gets off the air and declines, then Atlantis gobbles up all of their viewers, you know? That's why there's a little overlap.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Whereas if they would have waited like 3 years in between shows, people were like, man, I already watched Stargate or something. I don't know.
Yeah. This is still going? Oh, it's different now? They're wet?
Oh, but it's wet?
I like dry Stargate.
Yeah. I liked it when it was in the desert.
Where's Kurt Russell?
Yeah, Kurt Russell's the dry gator. Should we get into this? Because this first episode is a 2-parter on the same night on July 16th. So we're watching both. So I think we got a lot of work cut out for us.
Yeah.
And even though the listeners don't care and they'll only be gone for 10 seconds, we got like an hour and a half show to watch. So.
Yeah, put on a pot of coffee and do it with us.
Yeah. Okay. So.
What are you doing? You're working from home.
Yeah, come on. You can fill out that. You can fill out that spreadsheet while watching
you got
Stargate.
3 screens going right now. You know you do.
You got 3 or more if you know how to do it right. Okay, well, the first episode is called Rising. So we're going to watch that, and then we'll be back after that. All right, everybody. We're done with the first episode of Stargate Atlantis, a two-parter called called Rising. Jimmy.
Yeah.
Got that right up?
I do.
Or some semblance of one, since
I
it
have
was
a semblance.
a lot.
Yeah, it's either like a novel or this paragraph that says Dr. Elizabeth Weir leads an expedition to find the ancient lost city of Atlantis. The Ancients lost city. They're the people called the Ancients. And this is a journey that brings her and a carefully selected crew of Earth's best and brightest to the Pegasus Galaxy, where they embark on the adventure of a lifetime and awaken among the stars an enemy none of them could have predicted, endangering themselves and the native people of Pegasus alike. I didn't ever hear them say the word Pegasus. Is that a thing?
I heard them say the word Pegasus, but I did not know that's like the other planet they went to, right?
I think
it
it's
was like
all
mentioned in the beginning.
Isn't it all the same planet? Isn't Atlantis and the land all in the same thing or not?
Don't know.
That's
I assumed that when they okay, so I mean we'll get to it. So like show starts it starts with scene like a 2-minute scene from several million years ago.
Oh, right.
Is what it said. And it was like Antarctica when it wasn't frozen over.
Mm-hmm.
And then these alien people that are just like they call them the ancients, but they're really just like the first humans, right?
Apparently.
Yeah. They like, I don't know, it just kind of showed them like looking up at like a spaceship that was coming down. That was it. And then it was like present day Antarctica.
Mm-hmm.
And so then the current people figure out the Stargate coordinates to go to Atlantis, which is apparently this is just something they know about. So
Atlantis. Well, they've unearthed this thing in the ice, this like headquarters of the ancients from however million years ago. And then they're trying to figure out that some humans have a gene that allows them to somehow be able to work this like ancient technology. And then this John guy, whatever I forget, is he a lieutenant? Is he a captain?
Major John Shepard.
Major John. So him and then the SG-1 guy fly in. What's his name?
You mean Richard Dean Anderson?
Yes. Yeah. But his character's name?
That's not important. He's not in the show anymore.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I have it here somewhere. So John, like, walks in and can just use it all. Can just use all this technology for some reason, which still has not been explained to us. But
he's got the gene in his body.
He's got the gene. He's a descendant of the ancients.
He might be just an ancient, as far as we know, because he's just walking around able to use all this technology without even trying.
So far, this is just the plot of Final Fantasy VII. I just want to point that out.
All right, nice, sweet. But then, because of that, like his mind opens some map, and they're like, yeah, I think this is Atlantis.
We figured it out. We're looking for the ancient.
5 minutes later, they were on Atlantis.
Right, yeah.
Let's go.
But then, like, they were in Atlantis, but Atlantis has, like, these power things. They called them ZPMs, which stood for something. Zordons per minute or something like that. And they needed more of them, hopefully, to, like, keep the shields on in Atlantis, because they thought that the ocean was going to crush the underwater city. Yeah. So then they went to and this is where I thought they went to a different planet via the Stargate called Pegasus.
Okay.
To try to like find power sources to keep Atlantis from like shutting down. And then these bad guys called the Wraith attacked and like stole a couple people from Pegasus, a couple people from the Stargate crew. And then they took them somewhere. So did they take them to a different planet? They took them to a different planet again, right? Or did they take them back to Atlantis planet? I wasn't sure on that part.
This whole time I thought that it was all just Stargates on this one planet, and that Atlantis was just in an ocean on that planet. Because then, not Layla, Taylor, who's an ancient person.
Well, she's just
a native.
Is she an ancient?
Person.
I think she's just a native person. She's not an ancient.
Sure, she's just some other spin-off of evolution, is what they call that. This is a TV pod, so we'll call them spin-offs. And she said something like, "We can't go down there because we think that like the Wraiths will come." It's like. So I just assumed like they didn't have the ability to like leave the planet. They were living in like teepees and stuff.
Yeah, but they like were like next to the Stargate, and they definitely knew about the Stargate.
Right.
You know, and they were cool with it.
The Atlantis base is definitely in a different place because the whole thing was they didn't want to lure the Wraith back to the Atlantis base. They were trying to protect that, right?
Right.
So like if it was all the same planet, like there would be no drama about trying to shut the Stargate because it's just like, okay, cool, we'll just take the long way and just like head over there.
Yeah, they'll just go down to because the Stargate they were in for that was one of them was on the planet surface, one of them was like in orbit of a planet. I just assume all three locations they were at that weren't Earth were all separate like planets.
Yeah, I think they have to be because otherwise like they would just
fly their spaceship like 30 minutes one way, and they'd be there.
Yeah.
I think I just don't know enough about the lore of Stargate, obviously.
I just basically just think it'd be really weird to have multiple Stargates on a single planet because it seems like that's overkill.
I mean, like, it takes like a long time to fly around the Earth. You know?
Yeah, but they have like super spaceships. You know, they're not like taking airliners. They're not taking just passenger jets. So then they get taken by the race, but I guess we should talk about some characters really quick.
A
little bit, because there's Dr. Weir, who's like the scientist, the head scientist lady, right? Is that who
she's like she's a civilian like leader of whatever this like Stargate mission is. Yeah. And that's like a point of contention between her and like the military leaders.
Which brings us to the military leader. No, why don't we just say all the scientist people quick?
Yeah.
Dr. Weir, and then there was Dr. McKay, who was
is he Scotty?
No, the Scottish guy is Dr. Beckett.
Oh, yep.
I specifically wrote those two doctors' names, and then I wrote Scottish by Beckett.
Oh, McKay is the one. Okay, who he goes to Atlantis.
Yeah,
he's the wimpy Canadian guy.
Yeah, he's the Canadian.
Okay.
And then on the military side, there's Colonel Sumner, who is Robert Patrick, a.k.a. T-1000, a.k.a. of X-Files fame as well. Yep. Just FYI, I don't know if any of you guys went hardcore in your predictions, even though, so he died in this episode, but I checked because I wanted to see where his overlap was.
Oh, like he was in SG-1?
Well, no, he was in X-Files, and X-Files ended in 2002, and this was in 2004. But he was only, according to IMDb at least, and he was only in this for one episode, which would have been this episode. Unless he's uncredited at some point. But he looked pretty dead at the end of this episode.
I would say so.
And then there was Major John Shepard, who is like the new guy who has the gene of the alien the ancients. So think he can control things. And then there's Lieutenant Ford, who was like Sumner's like second in command basically, and now he's going to be Shepard's second in command.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Shepard is our main protagonist.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then I would say the only other person maybe of note is Taylor, who's like the alien girl. I mean, she's just, I swear she even like said human about herself at one point. They just look like humans, so.
Right.
But Taylor and one of the doctors got taken away by the Wraith people. And then Shepard and Ford and a couple other people went to go get them. And then they saved them and they escaped. And I guess the biggest thing is like the shields did fail in Atlantis, and it just rose up from the ocean floor to just be floating on top of the ocean now.
Pretty smart.
Yeah. So good failsafe. But so can we talk about the Wraith now?
Oh man.
Sure. So the Wraith they're not the ancients, right? But they're the evil that killed the ancients, because the ancients were like an incredibly intelligent form of human that preceded humans, and somehow their civilization was destroyed by the Wraith. And then so these Wraith are some sort of like super unstoppable evil. They look kind of like cyberpunk vampires.
I get you there.
Sure.
Like very pale, like long white hair, big teeth.
Yeah, like if we were watching a video, like a movie that was like vampires are like the number one race on Earth and like humans are enslaved, this is what the vampires would look like in your mind, basically, I feel like.
Yeah. They all love Static X and Orgy.
I was going to say the Wraith Queen looks just exactly like Marilyn Manson.
Yeah, so like it seems like the Wraith like can live forever, except they need to like eat people like vampires to like stay alive.
And
like
sleep.
one of the scientists basically said he could never see any them like dying from old age, because they have like regenerative
Oh, right, because
properties.
they found like a hand in like after like the battle, the initial like little fight.
Yeah.
And he was checking it out. That's Beckett, right? He's the like bio guy.
Yep.
Scientist.
You can tell he's got the Canadian patch on his shoulder. And then, but so, they had that little thing where I think when John Shepard came in to save everybody, he like had an interaction with that Wraith Queen or whatever, and she was like, "If you kill me, you're going to awaken everybody." And then her voice got all like very demonic. Like it got like deep and like ancient evilly.
She had something on her voice the whole time. There was like
a little bit.
Yeah, anyway.
I liked the Wraith. I think the Wraith are the reason why I want to watch like episode 2 of this show. Like I like this, like there's a very mysterious bad people that we don't really know about, but they've obviously made them like seem very scary and like very powerful.
Yeah.
And they found out about Earth, and they want to eat. They just want to eat people, I guess. So
they've been starving.
And also, they did mention that the Stargate in Atlantis is the only Stargate from Earth to Atlantis or something like that. I don't know how that works, because like they obviously traveled other places, but it seems like they go. Sorry, Jim.
Yeah, just that I think it's just the one way to, like, it's not on Earth, but it's the one way to Earth.
Got it.
So, it's kind of an important gate in that sense.
Yeah.
Weird.
I'd agree.
Yeah. So essentially, if they get discovered, or if the Wraith are able to penetrate to Atlantis, then they're able to get to Earth and then just eat all of the peoples, just like nuggets.
Eat their dinners good.
Yeah.
I don't. What did you guys think of this show?
I agree. I think the Wraiths are fun. It's fun that so for the first episode, basically the conflict was that they made it to Atlantis, but now it's just crumbling and they don't have enough power. And then and they're gonna maybe try to they're trying to just shut everything down, send some people out through the gate to see if they can find something to fix it, because they just got there and it's gonna all be destroyed. So now in the second part, it's we came here on this expedition, and now basically we just doomed all of the Earth to die, which is pretty fun. Which is basically what. So they discovered this ancient what would you call hologram lady who just talked to them about the Wraiths. It was hey, so just so you're aware, we were just going out on this expedition, and we were confident and kind of cocky, and then we ran into these guys, and then they basically murdered us all. So don't do that. And then that's just exactly what they did.
There's one thing you shouldn't do. To wake up this ancient evil.
Yeah. So they did that.
And they did that. Joe?
I went into this again thinking about why is this? There's Stargate SG-1, right? And then this is the spin-off to that, and they're running concurrently. So I was trying to figure out for someone who's a fan of Stargate SG-1, what about this is attaching me to this that I'm gonna watch another Stargate show every week, and I don't really know. The character, the main guy, Shepard, he's kind of your Han Solo type, charming, snarky, good pilot, doesn't follow the rules, but he just seems a little meh.
Yeah, I see that too.
He's not that cool, I guess is what I'm saying. I don't really want to hang with that dude every week. The Wraith are a little interesting, of just there's a lot not known there, but they are built up to be this big force. But I don't know what would attach you to this. I mean, I know I get that there's there's Stargates, and that it's a sci-fi show, and there's action, and that's all great. But if Stargate SG-1 already exists, then what is this for?
I kind of think Jimmy mentioned it sort of right in the in the first part of the pod, but I kind of feel this is sort of that Star Trek Next Generation to Star Trek Deep Space Nine, where they were kind of running at the same time. Whereas Next Generation is them traveling from planet to planet, or wherever they're exploring, and their every episode or whatever is a new adventure with new people and new everything.
Sure.
And then Deep Space Nine, which I would I would say Next Gen is SG-1, and then Atlantis is Deep Space Nine, where they're yeah, but what if instead of exploring out, you just have a central hub now that sometimes people come to you, and you have a war that you have to deal with potentially, because they get into that in the end of Deep Space Nine. There's wars and stuff.
So it's more opportunity for a long-term story rather than kind of just episode to episode. So it's two different vehicles for Star Trek or Stargate lore.
Yeah, exactly. It's I mean, I guess I would just kind of assume that's kind of how they're differentiating this whole thing.
Yeah.
I bet in all of SG-1, well, I don't know, who was the bad guy in the end of SG-1 that they were just, sitting?
Time? Wasn't it that they were just stuck on their ship?
Yeah, it was just time. So SG-1 was running out of ideas. But so, yeah, maybe this is just hey, we're it's basically a space station, and they probably travel out to do some stuff, but they have refugees that they need to help, and they're in a war, because they have the people from the other planet, from Pegasus, that are now on Atlantis with them. So I just kind of assume that's their space station, and then now they're probably fighting a war.
Okay.
Whereas the other Stargate is them just exploring and getting into, 1 to 3 episode story arcs and then moving on.
Sure. So do you have predictions around this?
I mean, sort of.
Okay. Because I'm just wondering how. I mean, like, I'm ready to roll into episode 3. Like, how are you gonna fight all these wraiths? Because they just woke up like a bajillion of them, and they're just gonna eat them.
I mean, I bet it's similar to like there's story episodes that keep like kind of make the wraith stuff keep going, like sprinkled throughout a season, and then there's also like adventure of the week, monster of the week, potentially stuff that they deal with too. So I bet the Wraith don't come up every single time. And who knows if they're even 5 seasons? You think, are they even in all 5 seasons? They could solve the Wraith problem in 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Who knows? Other thing to note, when I was looking at IMDb, Jason Momoa is in this show.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like the one thing I know about
Proto
this show.
Aquaman.
Yeah.
He's like on the A thumbnail somewhere.
Is he? Okay. I just saw that he was on it, and I'm like, interesting.
Might be the IMDb one.
Very interesting.
It was like his first thing, I think.
Okay.
Well, we'll get into that after we see him, but
Oh, well, if we see him.
I don't want to look it up in that. Oh, yeah, that's true. I don't want to spoil it.
Right. So, currently right now, I'm interested. The Wraith are like enough for me to like kind of just maybe want to see what's happening. So hopefully if season 1 were to like pick up and it was very interesting and they made this bad guy like really compelling and like deep and cool, then I'd be like, cool, maybe I could stick around. The thing about it is I think I was pretty compelled to want to keep watching that first episode of SG-1, and that turned into a really large turd.
True.
So that's what I'm worried about right now. I hope they're not fighting like the wind in this last episode or something, and they have to like sit in a cave for 45 minutes and wait it out.
It's probably just the water.
Yeah, they're probably just fighting. Hey, water's scary, man. That's strong stuff.
It was global warming that destroyed the ancients.
Too real.
It's just a giant mecha Trump that's fighting.
I'm pretty sure drowning is my greatest fear. Just to put that out. What episode is this? I think it's time.
166.
I think the world should
You
know.
heard it here. Jimmy's greatest fear is drowning. Anything else before we dive into predictions for this?
No
I feel like
fears?
we know what I feel like we know what the show's about. Like I think that was very clear at the end of that. It's like they're on Atlantis and there's a looming threat. Like, keep watching, everybody. So
We'll see you next week.
we'll see you next week for episode 2.
Things are fine for now.
Or are they? So I think should we dive into predictions then?
Go for it.
Yeah, I got some.
You wanna share them?
We didn't mention that the official uniform of Atlantis is like North Face jackets. There's like in like the first scene, there's like a few like people like wearing these like North Face jackets, and I'm like, are those North Faces? And then literally like the next person comes in and he like is wearing a jacket with like the logo on it, like of North Face, and I'm like, oh, they literally are North Face jackets.
I didn't see that, by the way.
Yeah, and then they kind of disappeared for a while.
Was that only when they were in Antarctica, or was it when they actually were in Atlantis?
Oh, it was only in Antarctica. Yes,
It's cold in Antarctica.
It is cold. Yeah,
It's
North
warm
Face
under
wants
the
you to
ocean.
So I think that we get a call back and we see another North Face jacket. I don't know if it's in the Arctic or Antarctica, but I think we do see another North Face. It comes back.
Fair enough.
I think similar to SG-1 where they had a Piccolo, I think we get a good Wraith a Wraith who has joined the good guy side.
I got that
Excellent.
too. Just FYI.
Me 3.
It's got to happen. Well, now it's definitely not going to happen.
Yeah, probably not. I hope it's Jason Momoa.
He's the good Wraith.
Yeah.
I think that at the end, Atlantis is destroyed. I think they hinted at the destruction of Atlantis in the first episode, but I think now they follow through with it.
In typical human fashion, we just ruin whatever we come in contact with.
Yeah, it's just we ruined it. And then I think the very last scene in the show is someone walking through a Stargate, because I think that's supposed to be like the there's more adventure to be had on the other side of this Stargate. Womp.
Womp.
Yep.
Nice. Okay. So my first one is, I think Dr. Weir is dead or gone. I don't think she survives 5 seasons.
Sure.
I think there is a Wraith Piccolo is what I wrote. So I agree with Joe on that one. I think there's an option essentially for like Major Shepard to at the end they're going to return to Earth kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And I think he decides to not return to Earth and to go to, he goes plan B instead of going back to Earth, which was the original plan.
Okay.
All right.
I mean, if I was going to speculate, I assume he goes to wherever Taylor goes if I was going to further speculate, but I'll let that one be a soft part of the prediction. And then I don't know what Jason Momoa's character is going to be. I assume he's not going to be human fully. I believe that he's going to be some sort of Aquaman.
Okay. Like he has gills or something?
I mean, if he can swim underwater without a breathing apparatus, or maybe he has fins, I don't know. I feel like in some way he's some sort of Aquaman.
Okay.
We'll be the judge of that.
Yeah, we will.
Okay, I think John Shepard has a love interest with this whatever ancients evolved people, probably Taylor, but
at least an alien of some sort that's not like regular Earth human, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
I swear Weir called them ancients, but maybe not. Then I have number 2 is Wraith Piccolo. Then I think Atlantis sinks again. Like this episode was called Rising. Maybe this finale will be called Sinking.
Lowering.
So Atlantis sinks, and then Octopus Monster.
Yeah, that's a good one.
To bring it back. To like episode 5 or something of this pod, whatever.
All right. Well, I mean, the episode is called Enemy at the Gate, starring Jude Law and Ed Harris.
Incorrect.
Oh, well.
Wraith at the Gate?
Wraith at the Gate. I don't know. We'll see. But, so it's episode 100, January 9th, 2009, Enemy at the Gate. We will see you after the finale of Stargate Atlantis. And we're back. We're done with the final episode of Stargate Atlantis, Enemy at the Gate. We did it.
Sure
We're done.
Is.
We've successfully protected Earth from the alien invasion. And we didn't even need Will Smith, so that was pretty good.
Basically, though. Same exact plot.
It was like half Star Wars, A New Hope, half Independence Day.
Yeah. Just needed Jeff Goldblum.
Everything needs Jeff Goldblum. That's an obvious fact right there. Do you got a write-up for us, Jim?
Yeah. So in the series finale, the Atlantis team is contacted by none other than their old friend Todd the Wraith, who tells them Okay, yeah. His name is Todd?
I didn't know. I didn't know what his name was. I knew he was like a wraith, and I was like, oh wow, they're just like people now, because first episode they seemed more like ghoulish.
Yeah, they're just people. They got weird voices still. But yeah, Todd is it's a royal name actually for the Wraith. It's very it's very regal and important.
You're making this up. You didn't do no wraith name research.
Yeah.
Todd. That's so unfortunate. Man.
Is it spelled differently than Todd?
No, that's his name.
All right, well.
Todd.
Continue, I guess.
I hope it's like a nickname and that he's just kind of a bro wraith. Okay, anyway, so Todd tells them that one of his underlings has marooned him on a planet and taken over the Wraith Hive ship. As if that weren't bad enough, the Hive ship is now powered by a ZPM, and the super energy source is transforming the craft into an invincible weapon. While those on Atlantis try to destroy the ship, it jumps to hyperspace and has a very clear destination in mind: Earth. Dun dun dun. Shepard is recalled home to man their best defense, while Taylor Ronan and McKay find themselves battling the Wraith from within their ship. In the end, Atlantis must travel to Earth for the final battle. And then they do that. They do the battle.
And then
everybody goes home.
The battle
and then
happens.
they go to San Francisco. Inexplicably.
They love gates.
So, like, maybe this... I wonder if this is the first time it happened, or if they did it before, but, like, Atlantis is, like, a spaceship now?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, in the first episode, they were, like, trying to protect it from water. And then in this one, it's a whole, like, battle station flying through space.
Yes.
What can't Atlantis do?
That was interesting. Also, when they were on, like, the bridge of Atlantis, and one of the guys is, like, talking, they have all these, like, super space age, like, Star Trek-y consoles all over the place. But in front of him was, like, an HP laptop that he was, like, talking about. I was like, really? That's like a coffee cup in Game of Thrones. Like, you forgot to, like, someone was, like, running lines, and then it was just there when you started. And you're like, shit, well, I guess.
There was, like, a laptop in the first episode, too.
Yeah, but were they, like...
episode 2, but...
I don't know. It just seems weird that it would be on Atlantis, like, 5 years later, whereas, like, maybe they brought a laptop with them initially.
Still using it. Those HPs never break down.
Thought that's what they'd mainly do.
Yeah.
Also, so, like, the Beckett guy, the Scottish guy who's got the ancient genes in him, he stays back to sit in the chair in Atlantis to control, apparently, the city spaceship that they now have. And then they made it sound like they sent Shepard back to Earth so he could, like, sit in the chair that was in Antarctica before.
Mm-hmm.
But then the lady was like, oh, it's in Area 51 now. And then all of a sudden, instead of going there or, like, trying to utilize that power, he was in a fighter jet and he was just fighting on it. I was like, didn't he come to Earth because he's super, super important? Because he's got the gene and can control alien stuff? And then they just put him in a fighter jet and he was flying around?
Yeah.
Well, I think he was flying from the Stargate to Area 51. That's what I was gathering. To get to the chair. And so then when he's going, he runs into, he's like almost there, and he runs into those kamikaze Wraith ships that just fly their ships into the Ancient's chair thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
I mean,
Blow it up.
that makes more sense, but I didn't gather that.
Yeah, I get what you mean, where there's like, there was a line or a scene or something missing where like he was on his way to the chair to defend Earth, and then all of a sudden he's in this like dogfight battle. Like there should have been a line somewhere in between that was like, all right, we're on our way to the chair. Oh no, where did these ships come from? But it was just sort of like, ships are here, gotta shoot them.
It seemed for a while like they were waiting for those ships to like come because there was multiple fighters. Because if he was like on his way to like Area 51 alone, he'd just be in one ship by himself, like going.
Yeah.
And so
there's just a few. And that might just be like a weird writing thing. I feel like there's a few parts that like I was confused by, and I feel like it was just either some sort of delivery thing. Like another part of that was, so like the end of that scene is they are shooting these Wraith ships, but the Wraith ships are able to slip through and kamikaze into the chair and destroy it. And like the commander at Stargate Command is just like, well, that's it. Like good try, but that was it. And that's like, wait, isn't this like the last line of defense for Earth? And you're just sort of like, well, we tried.
Shucks.
Yeah. She's like, all right, come on back to base. We tried. And I'm just like, wait, what? Are we like Earth is gonna get destroyed, right? If you don't figure something out.
Yeah. And the backup was nukes. The backup was Independence Day.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what he did. He did that's why I was like, I wrote down, is this going to be like a Star Wars death run? But in the end, it was pretty much legitimately fly into the mothership and shoot a nuke like they did in Independence Day. Except instead of flying away, they did a remote detonation.
Yeah. So there's this, this giant Wraith ship heading towards Earth to destroy it. And there's like essentially 3 plans that go into play at once. One is what we're talking about, where since Shepard can't get to the chair on Earth to defend Earth using the ancient weapons, he's going to take his nuke and get inside the Wraith ship and detonate it from there. And then while that's like being plotted out, the rest of the team on were they on Atlantis?
On Atlantis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, while they're on Atlantis, they discover that there's a Stargate on the Wraith ship, so they could like go into the Wraith ship. So they send some Marines in there, and I think their plot is to just destroy it from the inside somehow, or at least disarm the leaders of it from the inside somehow.
Yeah, they were going to do something.
So they're doing that, and then while that is happening, the third plan is that the people who are piloting Atlantis as a ship are like, if we can get it up there, we can just what was their plan? They were gonna fire. They're essentially just gonna stall, right? If they needed to, they'd be able to be there to just stall and fire missiles at the Wraith ship. I don't think they were actually planning on defeating the Wraith ship head on, but they were like, we got to do something, right? Is that what their plan was?
I think basically. Also, none of them, I think they mentioned it because they basically said something along the lines of the Wraith did they cut off communications, or did they just have their own, they just had their own Stargate, so they couldn't Stargate in between Atlantis and Earth. They had a Stargate. They could only Stargate to the bad boy ship.
Yeah, I think they explained that they had a Stargate on board essentially to mess up travel between gates.
I was just trying to figure out why anybody on Earth and anybody on Atlantis weren't telling each other what they were doing.
Yeah, just hey guys, let's coordinate.
Hey, don't nuke. Hey, what are you doing? Hey, we're gonna throw a nuke inside of the ship. Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. Then we won't put 8 people inside the ship.
Yeah. Because the whole plan pretty much comes together just based on someone from command being like, hey, wait, actually this thing is going on, so don't blow it up yet. Or hey, wait, actually there's a ship outside creating a diversion. So you guys got time to get off of there. You don't need to blow yourselves up in there.
It was pure random happenstance for the most part.
One would think that like if even if it's like they're in some other galaxy somewhere and it's hard to communicate, that's the whole beauty of the Stargate, isn't it? Like you can just pop your head in there and be like, "Hey guys, 1 second," you know.
Yeah, you just hop over the gate and be like, "Hey,
right?
you guys gotta come on back to the ship."
Come back, hey, come back.
And then Jason Momoa died for like just a second. He was dead for like a minute, and then they brought him back. He had a whole big death scene. I think his death scene like lasted so long for him to just be brought back.
Did you see his like
1 second?
It like close up down his like dead face when he was dead, and he had like dead
So
cross-eyed eyes.
Yeah,
Like
I
it looked
noticed that.
like
That
he
was
was
fun.
like trying to be silly.
I don't think he's a very good actor.
He said about 8 words this whole
He's a
episode.
very handsome man, but he's not very believable character.
He's very
Also-
chill for like, you know, being this close to the destruction of Earth. He's just sort of like, "Yo, let's go do this."
Right. Well, and also like, why did he? Number one, he died, and that was like fine because they were like, pick a. It's the last episode. Pick a
Yeah.
character to get
Yeah,
to
for
die,
sure.
so people care a little bit, and then they bring him back because some bad guy was like, "I healed you, human, and now you're gonna answer my. I died."
Yeah.
And then it's like,
That's exactly
way
what
to
happened.
ruin like the sacrifice that character did and just bring him back, but for no real reason other than like, fooled you, he's alive still.
Well,
Yeah.
so
He doesn't really
this-
solve anything in the end. He just gets to live. That's it.
Yeah.
yeah, there's no point to him being brought back except that. So the show was canceled, and so the writers found out that this would be the series finale.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess they did some like last minute things, but then there was supposed to be a movie after this that just got shelved, and then MGM filed bankruptcy, and it just got canceled. So
Oh, okay. I guess that makes sense. They did do a good job. It felt like a finale. You know, they beat the bad people.
yeah,
And maybe
way more so than SG1.
Oh God, yes. I mean, here's the deal. This wasn't that great of an episode of TV. It just really wasn't. But it was a million times better than the finale of SG1.
Yeah,
It was hella fun. I mean, like for as much as I didn't like the first episode, like, yeah, it just had a lot of action, and there was a lot of stuff going on, but I generally understood what was going on, even if it doesn't quite line up logically. Like, I understand, like, you're gonna go blow it up from the inside. I get it. And like, you guys are gonna go in and like shoot some Wraith. Cool. Hey, it's a flying city. Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it had a lot of good, just like sci-fi, like just dumb, nerdy sci-fi stuff. That's like good. I just think some of the cracks of the show or the writing maybe show through with like just kind of like weird reasons to do stuff, or just like, oh, we forgot the line saying why he's dogfighting now. You know, we forgot. Well, I think we forgot to take the HP laptop out of the screen.
Yeah.
Did we really need to bring Jason Momoa back? I mean, really? I mean, if you got canceled, then I guess I can see that. But you're trying to do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like little things that you can tell this is not a like Game of Thrones writing style, or just high end, like super good writing. It's just like one of those basic. It's a basic, fun, dumb sci-fi show, which I'm like, this is great.
yeah.
But you can
They
tell
added
even
some
with
fun,
like, I feel like even like something like Star Trek just has like that little bit more polish to it.
Mm-hmm.
That is just like a slightly better sci-fi show kind of thing.
Yeah. It was very fine, which again makes me wonder like why like this is again the spin-off of a TV show that's a spin-off of a movie, and it's just like, how did we get to this point where this is the third Stargate property, and it's running for 5 seasons, and it's still just okay.
Well, I mean, Joe, Todd the Wraith can only hold the show up so high, you know?
Todd the Wraith.
And all the other actors really just needed to pull their own weight.
Todd. R.I.P. all the rest of the Wraiths, like Jim Bob and Steve and Carl.
Chad.
Jimmy Dean the Wraith.
So speaking of Star Trek, though, we had Robert Picardo, who's the Doctor in Voyager, who his character's name is Richard Woolsey, I guess. I think they do a terrible job in this show at saying people's names.
Or just naming people, because that's a silly name.
Woolsey. And it doesn't say that he's like a doctor or anything, so I'm not really sure what but he seems to be in charge of Atlantis.
He was in charge because Jewel State was a doctor. She seemed like she was like a medical doctor on Atlantis.
Yeah. Dr. Keller. We saw her all of like twice.
Yeah, she was in this show I looked it up, for 33 episodes. So I'm assuming the last third of the show, basically.
Nice.
She'd make me want to watch the show a little bit because she's from Firefly and she's great.
Absolutely. Other than that, it was a lot of original people from the original, except Jason Momoa.
Minus
Mitch
Dr.
Pileggi.
Weir.
I forgot we had a Mitch Pileggi sighting.
Yep, he was there for a minute. He was like Earth Command, maybe, or something.
Gotta keep an X-Files character in this show.
That's right.
Yeah. What was he just... Oh, he was in Sons of Anarchy. That we did not that long ago.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, you guys watching this? Or should we do predicts? How do we do this?
I think we got the best of it.
I think, honestly, I'm not interested in watching this. It made me want to like finish Deep Space Nine. Like, you know, if I'm gonna watch a nerdy sci-fi space show, I'm gonna watch a Star Trek. I think that's what this show's pushing me towards instead of actually watching it.
You've never finished Deep Space Nine?
I've never finished it. No, I'm probably.
What are you even doing here? Stop this and go do that.
All right. Well, see you next week on First and Last. I'll pick Deep Space Nine.
I was gonna say, like, I would like at some point to watch like SG-1 because it has people are like will threaten to cut you if you say bad things about SG-1, and then maybe like work in some of this when it overlaps, because that's fun to me. But
I'd rather be cut than watch the last episode of SG-1
so much
again.
TV though. Oh yeah, that's true. I forgot about that. I'd skip all of that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There's more important things to watch. Like Buffy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Predictions. Joe, you went first last time. You want to go first again?
Sure. I had that we'd get a North Face jacket, which I did not see. Not too cold in this episode.
They're out of hand. Yeah.
Yeah. Not gonna work in the desert. I had that we had a good Wraith, which there was the Wraith that was Todd the Wraith that was working with them, but I don't think I would classify him as a good Wraith. It was still pretty adversarial.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
Okay.
Yeah, he was coming around, but he's still on the fence.
Yeah. Atlantis is destroyed. It was definitely in danger, but it ends up like getting planted in like the San Francisco Bay at the end here.
Yeah.
So it's safe. And then the show ends with someone walking through a Stargate, which it didn't. It ended with them kind of like looking off into the sunset at the Golden Gate Bridge. A different kind of gate. But not a Stargate. So no points.
Oh, well, okay. Then.
Yeah.
Okay, I had that Dr. Weir is dead or gone, which she is gone for sure. So, taking that one. I also had there was a Wraith Piccolo but there's definitely not. That was a chaotic neutral Wraith at best, I'd say. Todd was. Yeah. Mayor Shepard does not return to Earth. Or Major Shepard, sorry, does not return to Earth. He ended in San Francisco, so he returned to Earth. Yep. And then Jason Momoa is some sort of Aquaman. Unconfirmed. Well, actually, they said he was a human. They just called him a human at some point. Oh. That Wraith that revived him said, like, I've given you back your life, human. Now you'll tell me, and then he died. So, but I'll take my 1 point.
Congrats.
All right. I had that John Shepard had a love interest, and we did not see that, which makes sense. I don't think he's a likable enough character to put in. Okay. I also said Wraith Piccolo, so that was a throwaway since we were all either gonna get that or not. So, then I thought because the first episode was about Atlantis rising, I thought it was gonna sink. Should have gone the other way and said Atlantis flies.
Atlantis goes to space.
Ridiculous.
I would have been pretty impressed if that's what you would have guessed.
Yeah. And then no octopus monsters.
No real monsters of any bit.
No, just vampires.
Just the vampire monster things that were just like regular people. It seems like they were much less like ghoulish.
A lot more tame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is obviously a bummer.
Yep.
But so what is that? So is that a big old 0
That's
too?
That's a 0.
All right. Sweet. We're coming up on season 6 close, so I think I need all the points I can get. I'm sure I'm not anywhere near.
Ooh.
I haven't checked on the standings recently. Maybe an update next week.
All right.
If I get to updating the spreadsheet, we shall see. Well, I guess it's the end of this episode. Thank you everybody for listening. If you want to hit us up on Twitter or Gmail, it's at FANDL podcast. And you can give us show suggestions or just compliment Joe or tell Jimmy your favorite pasta dishes. He is always looking for new recipes. And then also, if you want to like, share, do all those kinds of things, rate us stars. It helps people find out who we are. So that'd be great. But that's about it. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Wah, wah.